What's up guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to a video looking at gaming headsets. There are so many different headsets out there that you can buy. Some of them are good, some of them aren't, but it's really important to make sure you're buying the right headset for you and your use case, as some of them cost £15, some of them cost £300, and there are so many different types out there. It's important to sort of wade through all the noise and just make sure you're buying the right headset. So hopefully this little guide will help you out to do just that and show you some of my favourites along the way. And I'm going to start the guide by showing you what a headset actually is. And for all intents and purposes, it is just a pair of headphones with a microphone attached with a few gamer specific features. Some of these are pretty useless and aren't really worth your time of day. Things like RGB lighting that you can't see because it's on the side of your face probably isn't that useful, whereas some features really are. Things like having the ability to control the music or the volume or mute the microphone with inline controls is very useful, and it is something that you will want to do in a hectic game of Battlefield 1. And then you've got a few different types of headset. You've got wired headsets and you've got wireless headsets. Wireless headsets are usually more expensive, they're slightly heavier, and they do have that battery inside that you will need to charge. Wired headsets though are a bit easier to use, but you will have to have that wire connected at all times. Wired headsets also come in two flavours. You've got analog headsets like this one here, which is the Razer Kraken Pro V2, that relies solely on your system. So if you've got a rubbish system that doesn't have a very good DAC in it, so a very good digital to analog converter, your sound will be a little bit muffled, will probably be noisy, and just won't be very good at all. Whereas if you go for a USB headset, this bypasses all the electronics in your computer entirely, and then you're getting a cleaner sound. But the downside of a USB headset is normally that it's not going to be as good as if you had a really good DAC already. And both wired and wireless headsets both come in two additional flavors. You've got stereo headsets and then you've got surround headsets. Stereo headsets are more traditional, and if you're listening to a lot of music, it's probably the thing you're going to want to go for. There's no clever electronics that are trying to send you a surround signal or trying to widen the soundstage. It's nice and natural, and again, for music, it's ideal. But if you're playing games though, and what you probably are doing with a gaming headset, then you may want to consider a surround headset. Surround headsets are often a little bit heavier, and they can have additional speakers within the ear cups themselves that can give you a true surround experience. But these days, more headsets are relying on clever technology to sort of fake a surround signal, and it's something called virtual surround sound. It used to be pretty bad, it used to not really do much, and the HyperX Cloud II, which is actually one of my favourite headsets out there, has a pretty rubbish virtual surround setting that I don't use. I think it just makes everything sound a little bit muffled, a little bit echoey, whereas something like the Astro A50 I think actually sounds really good, and it does actually sound like you're in the centre of the world a little bit more. So depending on your preference, you're going to want to go for a surround headset or a stereo headset. But of course, surround headsets can be turned off, so you can turn them into just normal stereo headsets as well. But the downside is that they're normally more expensive, and in some cases they are heavier as well. And the final thing to talk about before we actually get onto my personal favourite headsets and my recommendations is what you should look for when you are buying a gaming headset, which is pretty much, well, it comes down to three things really: build quality, comfort, and then audio quality. If you're looking at USB surround headsets or wireless headsets, then obviously there are more things to look for, but those are the main three things that I would advise focusing on. Comfort is pretty simple. It needs to be comfortable to wear for a long period of time, and it's normally dictated by the weight of the headset, how much gripping force is applied to your head, and then the material that's used on the ear cups. Cloth ear cups are going to be better for people that sort of don't want their ears to be overheating and don't want to constantly vent their ears, whereas faux leather can feel more luxurious, it can feel more comfortable, but it will increase the amount of heat that is built up by the headset. Audio quality, well, it should be good. It should sound nice and clean. It shouldn't sound muffled. It should be bassy, but it shouldn't be overpowering. It shouldn't be sharp at the high notes either, and it should just be a nice thing to use for both music and games. There definitely are some headsets that are more geared towards bass-heavy titles and aren't quite so good at music, but again, it's going to depend on what you're looking for in a gaming headset. And then that final thing to mention, build quality. It doesn't have to feel like $1 million, but it does have to feel like something that costs the amount of money that it costs. So the Turtle Beach Elite Pro, it started very well. It's a very expensive headset. It feels nice and premium at the top section of the headset, but then when you get further down, it just feels scratchy plastic, cheap, nasty, and this is something that costs an awful lot of money. Whereas something like the HyperX Cloud Stinger, yep, the build quality is not the best out there, but it's a very cheap headset and it feels like something that costs what it does, which means that the build quality is absolutely great for its price point. So that's what to look for when you're buying a gaming headset, but what are my favourites and what do I recommend that you buy? Well, I'm going to categorise these into the 3 categories, starting in price order, and the first headset is the HyperX Cloud Stinger. And this is a truly fantastic headset for its price. The build quality is pretty good, it doesn't feel like it's going to snap when you are playing with it, when you're wearing with it, whatever it is you're doing with it. The microphone sounds pretty good. It is an analog headset, so like all the analog headsets I'm going to mention, it is going to depend on the DAC that's actually in your system. But it sounds very good for the money, it's well built, it's comfortable, and you can't really go wrong for its price point. Stepping it up a little bit, I say a little bit, stepping up pretty much double the price is actually this headset here. If I get a little bit lost during this video, it's because I'm surrounded by about 20 headsets, I do apologise. And this is the Kraken Pro V2, and this is one of the most recent ones I've reviewed, and I think this is one of the best headsets on the market. The microphone sounds great, it is extendable, and you can't really lose it, it's flexible. But then the sound quality is really, really good for this price point. The build quality is excellent as well, it's very comfortable. It does have circular ear cups, and I do prefer oval ones, but you can buy them separately. But for around about in the UK, I think it's around about £80. So in dollars, what, that must be close to 100, but don't take my word for that. It's a really nice headset, and it's highly recommended. If you do want to see the links to all of these things, by the way, I will leave them in the description down below, and some of them I have individually reviewed, and then some of them I've reviewed elsewhere. And then if you really do want to step it up to a premium analog stereo headset, my current favourite headset, period, it doesn't matter what category, my current favourite headset is these. And this is the Astro A40TR. Now, I don't like the sharp bits at the top of the headset, I don't really see why they've done that, but everything about it is really nice. I mean, the build quality is pretty good, it feels nice and solid. I'm not entirely sure about the sharp corners either on some of the plastics that's used, but it doesn't feel like it's going to break. It's very adjustable. It has slightly too much gripping force, but I think that will loosen up over time. But then it's just really comfortable to wear, and the audio quality is literally outstanding for this price point. It comes in at around about £130, so it's quite expensive, but it's a truly fantastic headset that delivers pretty much everything I want it to do. It sounds very good for music. You can actually take the sides off as well if you want to open this up to more of an open back design. And you can't really go wrong, as long as you are aware that obviously it's an analog headset and you are limited in that sense. So moving on to some wired USB headsets, again looking at the bottom of the scale, I would recommend that you look at the Cloud II, as this is pretty much the best USB headset on the market today, price considered. It's very lightweight, it's very well built, it's probably the best built headset of all of the ones on test today, bearing in mind it costs around about £55–60. That's really saying something, isn't it? You get choice of ear cups in the box, you get a choice of leather, well, faux leather, or cloth, so you can choose your favourites. The microphone sounds pretty good, it's fully adjustable. The design, it comes in a range of different colours, and it's USB as well, so you're not going to have to worry about having a really good DAC in your system. You can bypass all that, and everyone is going to get a similar sound. If you do want to step it up a little bit, if it gets a little bit more tricky, the one that I am about to test is the Kraken Chroma V2, which is going to be very similar to the Razer Man O War and the Kraken Pro V2 that I mentioned in the analog headsets, but I can't give a solid recommendation on that yet, but that's probably going to be a sensible step up. But as soon as the review is live on that, I will leave that in the description down below. But then if you want to go for a top drawer USB headset, it's actually, believe it or not, the Astro A40TR again, because I know you're going, well, hold on a minute, I thought that was an analog headset. You can buy it in a pack with the Mixamp Pro, which is a USB box, and then this turns it into essentially a USB headset, because all the electronics is handled by that little box. It's got a volume wheel on it, it's got a few different modes, but then if you have a rubbish sound card, then that solves your problem really. So it maybe is a little bit cheating as it's not a true USB headset, but technically it does connect to your computer over USB, so I think it counts. But that is very expensive. That would be £200, and then you're getting pretty close to the wireless version which is the Astro A50s that I will mention in a moment. So yeah, you probably already realised that the market is very tight and you're going to have to know exactly what you want from a headset in order to make the right decision. And then finally, moving on to the wired headsets. At the lower end of the market, you are a little bit limited as they are pretty pricey compared to what you can get if you went for a wired version. But the most entry-level headset that I've used that I actually like is the Corsair Void RGB. Now this is £100. The build quality is not fantastic. It's one of the weaker ones on test. I also don't like the amount of gripping force it's got on your head because it just doesn't have very much at all and it wobbles about. The microphone as well isn't brilliant, but it's a wireless headset. The sound quality is actually pretty good. Battery life is good, range is good. So you're definitely getting some compromise with this, but if you just want one of the best, cheaper wireless headsets, this will do most people without an issue, but it's definitely not the best headset out there. If you want to step up a little bit, which is what I would recommend that you do, you spend another 40, 50, maybe it's even £60 actually, I think it's around about £150 in the UK, you can get this, which is the Razer Man O War. I almost said Kraken again then, naming is very difficult. And the build quality on this is pretty good. It's not actually as good as on the Kraken Pro, which is a bit disappointing. There's a bit more plastic used, but it is pretty comfortable. It's very adjustable. Ear cups, very, very big. Don't think anyone will have an issue there. You've got RGB lighting on the sides as well. Connects over USB. Sound quality, again, is pretty good, but like all wireless headsets, it does pick up a little bit of wireless interference, so you're still getting some compromise with this pair of headphones. But then if you want my favourite wireless pair of headphones at the moment, but they are very expensive, make no mistake about that, that's actually these, which is the Astro A50s. I've only been using these for a few days and they sound very, very similar to the Astro A40s. But if you want the wireless version, it's very good. They don't feel any heavier than the A40s do. Sound quality is more or less the same, but you've got that surround mode as well from the headset, which does make everything sound that little much more open if you're playing a game. Don't use it with music though, it definitely does ruin music, but you've got a button on this side of the headset that can easily enable or disable the Dolby audio, and then when you're done with it, you just put it back on its docking station. And yes, it's a very premium solution, and for 250 quid you could get an outstanding pair of headphones. But if you just play games and you want to listen to music as well on the side, but you want to do it wirelessly, this is the best headset I've used to date. And so with that, that brings us towards the end of this video. I hope it's been really useful. If it has, let me know down in the comment section below. I've tested loads of headsets, but likewise there's loads I haven't tested as well. So if you have a favourite or something you're looking at that you want my opinion on, please let me know down in the comment section below, or on Twitter, it's @PCcentric, and I'll try and answer everyone to let you know whether I've tested it and what I think. Likewise, all the links to all the reviews and the Amazon links will be left down in the description below if you do want to go and check out some more info about these products. Let me know what you thought though, leave a like on the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't. Thanks to everyone that has shipped review samples out for these headsets, and to Corsair for sponsoring the channel as always. Subscribe for more videos and more guides just like this, and I will see you in the next video.